running late this week. You can blame Amanda for that. But this is the Family Football Podcast, brought to you by Dub Street. So we're back. This is week 3, despite it taking a little longer to get here than normal.
Yeah. Well, we could also kind of blame my dad, because he told us that he was going to come over tomorrow and start construction on our house. So
I'm blaming Amanda. We're going to see why I'm blaming Amanda coming up later in the show. We got a jam-packed episode for us today, for this week.
Jam-packed.
We've got 5 segments over the normal 4.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just hop right into it. Starting off with the...
Peaks of the week.
Peaks of the week.
So, for Peaks of the week, we got to say that our high score goes to Jenna, who scored 146 against Chris.
Which, this is somewhat scary for me. If Jenna's scoring Peak of the week last week for high score, and she's toppling Chris, she's got me in the matchup this week, and while I've already locked a playoff position, it's all about trying to get that bye. And
good luck, Jenna.
I'm really no, bad luck, bad luck. Trying to really prevent that. I'm trying to shoot for that bye. I want that spot. And
Jenna, she also delivered. Chris hit the worst loss of the week. Chris lost by 64 points. But closely in high score for the week, we also had Annie, who got 143 points, and Gregory, who also scored 143 points.
Dang, so a lot of us are putting up 140s for those kind of top-out numbers.
I, on the other hand, did not score that well, but just very narrowly eked out a win against William.
Yeah, you probably didn't deserve that.
Probably not.
That loss right there was literally due to a fact that Williams' running back got injured on the first play of the game. Mm-hmm. Didn't even take the attempt. And then
Eric Ebron, he scored a touchdown in the 4th quarter of the period, which was the 6 points that I needed to get a 8-point total win.
That was a steal.
Total steal.
You should not have won that, and I should be secured in a bye already. But here we are.
And best player goes to Nick with Kyler Murray, who scored 44 points. And our worst player, we called it last week, also goes to Nick. San Francisco defense, -1.
When you put up a -1 as a defense, it's never a good thing.
So maybe, Nick, you shouldn't play San Francisco defense this time.
Yeah, really should. Mm-hmm. In our next segment, we're going to look at
our projected game of the week.
Oh, the game of the week.
So this week in week 10, the game of the week goes to Brian versus Julie.
Yeah, and this game's really important because both these teams are hunting for a playoff spot. Mm-hmm. And right now, the projections are really close. They're projected within 0.6 of one another. And Brian is projected 0.6, but he's already played his defense at 14 points for Indianapolis. They had a huge game.
That's a huge defense score.
That's a big defensive score. So I think he was projected a little lower, and then they came back up. But Indy's a great defense. They're the best defense of the season, so you're kind of hoping you put up 14 with them. But it is a big game, and when you look at the matchups there, either of these teams could kind of play big. You're hoping that the tight end that Julie traded for, Hawkinson, a few weeks ago for me, comes in big, right? And he has been. He's projected by a lot of people as being a top 5 tight end this week.
Yeah.
So maybe that helps her out. Maybe that trade works well in her favor. But that is the game to be watching right there. That is going to dictate some season runs.
I'm going to also root for Julie. I'm a big proponent of 8 winners in fantasy football. And if Julie makes the playoffs...
Keeps Brian out.
He beat me in season 2. We'll talk through the playoffs in excruciating detail, as Brandon.
Yeah, it's excruciating detail. You have no idea how insane, what rabbit hole Amanda found herself in with this playoffs. But in talking about this game of the week, though, it's also worth talking about some of the trades that have happened. Because, Brian, go ham, he's in this game of the week. And if you haven't been paying attention to your email or the ESPN app, some trades did go through.
And Gregory did make the change that we proposed. There is no longer any trade window.
There's not a trade window.
So get ready on your trades. It's a fast process now. You can be doing it all the time.
Yeah, you trade and boom, that's it. It's done. Brian and Uncle Rob traded. Mm-hmm. Brian got Claypool and
Steelers.
And Kareem Hunt from Cleveland.
Yep.
And Uncle Rob got swindled.
Melvin Gordon.
He got swindled.
Well, I'm sure Uncle Rob has a legitimate reason or thought process. Rob is a league winner.
He is technically last year's champion. And Uncle Rob, if you had... I am so curious. What was your thought process in this trade? Because you gave away Kareem Hunt, who is a top-tier running back.
Nick Chubb is coming back.
Chubb's coming back, so maybe Hunt will lose some of that step, but he's a top 12 running back of the year, and he's ranked 11 right now. And he's giving up Claypool for Pittsburgh. And I know he's got Juju, so you're running that, but I think if I was him, I would have kept Claypool. I would have tried to dish out Juju. I don't think Juju's as good in terms of the fantasy, but I don't know, Rob. Whatever your thought was, we'd like to hear from that. I think the league would like to hear on that one, but that could help Brian. That trade right there. That could be Brian's win. We don't know. We'll see. We'll see coming up.
Speaking of, now we're going to go into playoff projections. We're going to talk about Brian and Julie.
Let's roll over to the stats corner and look at some playoff projections here. And we don't see anything because I'm the worst. So where is it? Let's find...
Technical difficulties.
Tech difficulty. Where in the world is...
Carmen Sandiego.
Carmen Sandiego. Okay, this is... Of course this is going to happen. So let's, here, we'll do this.
For you watching at home, you can just fast forward through this. It's pretty boring.
Why isn't this here? Why? Oh, okay, so this might be why. Because, we're still blaming Amanda on this, by the way. We're still blaming her. And there's valid reason. So, before we get started into this, projections here and what's going down. So we had a lot of work to do today around the house, and around 4:30, we got everything finished. We cleaned out some room for construction. We raked some leaves, and I said, Amanda, I just have to set up the mic and the camera, and we'll be good for the podcast. And she goes, okay,
great.
Just setting up the playoff projections real quick. I'll be right down. An hour passes. I'm like, where is this woman?
Hey. Understanding how Anthony can make the playoffs is important to me.
Yeah, and you're going to talk all about that right now because it is literally the rabbit hole she went to. She's a nerd, people, and we know this and we love this. So here we go.
All right. So basically, the way that it's locked up right now is that Chris is number 1, I am number 2, with Brandon number 3. With Brandon and I having a pretty high points for, Chris holding the lead due to his
7-2 record.
7-2 record. And then we've got Nick, who also has a very high points for, and then Gregory, who has a pretty substantial drop-off. And so what I wanted to do was understand who could make the playoffs and who could, mainly that 6th spot is under contention. And so I wanted to see how people could make the playoffs and what would need to happen for that to happen. So going through it. I did it one at a time. So Anthony being the first one. Anthony needs a lot to work through this. And also, I'm going to make Brandon include this PowerPoint in his email so that everyone can see this and if they're really curious about themselves.
Before she trimmed this down, she had pseudo percentages that people would make the playoffs.
But those really weren't, Brandon told me they weren't accurate enough to keep them.
Yeah, because it wasn't
Anthony,
a 50-50.
You have a pretty low chance of making the playoffs. A lot needs to happen. You need a win out. You need...
Which isn't going to happen in week 11. I'll tell you that.
You need Julie to lose twice, and you need Jenna to lose at least once. And Brian to lose at least once. And then you need to have a better point differential. And then going through this, I assumed that it would be difficult to make greater than a 50-point differential against an opponent. So if you have if an opponent has greater than 50 points right now than you, I don't think you're going to make the playoffs.
And that's not saying it can't happen. That's just saying that it's unlikely to, because as we just saw last week, Chris lost by 60-some points.
64.
So you can easily make up. I think that you could make up those points, but it's not something that you're thinking that you're going to get the peak of the week and they're going to get the lowest points. So it's a rarity, right?
Yeah, but it did happen for Jenna. So next one, we got Annie. So Annie also needs a lot to help her out. She's in a little bit better scenario than Anthony because she has a better points for than Anthony while still having the same record as Anthony. She could have Brian win out because they have the same record, but she'd still have to get a higher points for than him. She would need Julie to lose both games and Jenna to lose at least one game, preferably the one she would perfectly lose to Brian. And then that would give her the position to sneak in at the 6th spot.
Yeah, if she gets the high point differential.
Yep. So the next one being Brian. He is in a little bit better of a spot because he's a higher points for than Annie and Anthony.
So he just needs to win out at this point.
Right, and he's not too far away from Julie or Jenna's records. So if he wins, even if he wins out and even has Julie win one game, provided that he's got his point differential is within 50 of Julie, so I think he could take her if she loses one game.
Okay.
So getting a little bit closer and more possible. Jenna's doing pretty well, and keep in mind we had to talk about Jenna last week being staying alive.
She's staying alive.
She's definitely staying alive, and she even jumped a couple of spots. So if she won out and then had Julie win only one game, then she'd be in a position where she could
she'd sneak to 6th.
Given a better point differential than Julie.
But if Gregory loses games and she has a better point differential than Gregory, if she goes big 2 games and Gregory falters,
she could go all the way to the 5th seed.
She can come to the 5th spot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's not too far. So if you look at Gregory's points for, his is not all that much higher than Jenna's. So she's in a position where she could actually sneak into the 5th spot. Gregory, you're not going to necessarily be at the top seeds unless you keep winning.
We'll see.
And then, that's my last one. Or did I make a Julie one? No, I didn't make Julie because Julie's got a really good scenario. She can actually go all the way up to the 3rd seed because
she just needs to win another game.
She needs to win one game, and if she wins 2, she could go up to the 3rd seed.
Yeah, because then she'll be something like 7-4.
Yep.
And you're lock in, and at that point,
Nick and I play each other in week 11.
So one of you will be 7-4, and one of you will have to move down a little bit.
Yep.
So one of you will be 6-4. So yeah. So if Julie wins one more game, she's pretty much a lock in. And if she wins 2, then kudos to that.
So while the husband did not appreciate me taking a very long time to prepare this, I hope that you all will find it interesting. We'll include it as an attachment for your reading pleasure.
It was ridiculous. Like I said, she had if a game wins or loses, like a 50-50 chance, she had like percentages of who is going to make it and whatnot.
Anthony, based upon the way I was thinking about it, you have less than 1% chance.
But you're still here. Okay. So yeah, that's everything going down in that. So we'll pull out of Stats Corner. And what else we got to talk about this week?
Well, we were going to add a new segment, which is we're going to say in this week who you and I think are going to be
the Pick 6.
Pick 6.
Okay, so in the Pick 6, what we're going to do is we're going to look at every game, every matchup this week between our managers in the league, and we're going to pick who we think is going to win. Okay? And it's going to be that easy. So you want to just start off... Oh, how are you looking at this? So we go in the same order. Scoreboard? Okay, yeah.
All right, we'll start with you versus... Jenna.
Okay, so I'm looking at this matchup, and I think I have this game. Derrick Henry didn't put up what I wanted him to put up, but I think I still have it. My projection's nice and high, so I'm picking me on that one. Who are you picking?
I'm picking Jenna. She just came off of a monster win. Josh Allen is playing Arizona, so I think... Well, Arizona's a good team. I think that could be a high-scoring match. I'm gonna pick Jenna.
Picking Jenna? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Gregory versus Will.
All right, Gregory versus Will. This was a pretty tight matchup. Projections of only 5 difference, and Gregory already had one player who only put up less than 10.
Yeah, as a tight end, but that was a good tight end spot.
I'm gonna have to go Gregory.
My gut's telling me Gregory, but. I don't know. See, here's the big issue for Gregory. If you're unaware, his running back got injured, and he made a really clever waiver pickup really quick to pick up the other Johnson on the team as the backup. That running back's projected 15, and they're playing at Cleveland, which could be a really windy game, so there could be a lot of runs going on. But I don't know. Like, something weird could happen with that running back. They could bench him or something like that. I'm going William.
I think I'm going to go Gregory. Williams is playing Nick Foles, who's always been pretty streaky. He has Tyler Boyd, who's the wide receiver of Cincinnati, playing against Pittsburgh.
He is playing Nick Foles.
Tyler Boyd just got destroyed last time he came to Pittsburgh. He's a hometown hero kind of type. He grew up in Pittsburgh, and he got crushed last time he was here.
Yeah, but Boyd's a great wideout. I think he'll do something. I'm going with William.
All right.
I'm going with William. I think something's
So
got to give.
we are 0 for 2 on consistency.
Okay, you versus Uncle Rob. You're winning that. Sorry, Uncle Rob. Sorry. You got rid of some of your best players to Brian and got next to nothing in return, in my opinion. And yeah, I don't think you're gonna need something like a 50-point game out of Lamar in order to do something. I don't think it's gonna happen. So and you haven't even put your guys you traded in your setup yet. So I don't know. I don't see Rob winning that.
Nick versus Annie.
Nick versus Annie.
I gotta go Nick. Kyler Murray's on fire. Still is. He's got Dalvin Cook, who's been also on fire, not letting up.
Yeah, you know what? I gotta go. Oh well, you know what? This is actually huge.
You think Jared Goff's gonna be a big play?
I think Jared Goff's gonna be a big play against Seattle this week, and we'll talk about this in a little bit. Someone special isn't playing this week. Someone got a shoulder injury, and that means Mike Davis for Carolina is back, and he could put up McCaffrey level numbers this week. So as much as
no one puts up McCaffrey level
if
numbers.
you are replacing him because he's injured, you have the opportunity to.
Right.
And as much as Dalvin Cook is like putting up huge things, I think Annie could actually take this one away from Nick, and I'm hoping that. So that's what I'm going with.
Chris versus Anthony. Chris.
Oh yeah, Chris has already predicted 30 points higher. This is a shoe-in for Chris. If he loses this game, we're gonna be wondering what the heck happened here. So yeah, sorry, Ant-Man.
Sorry.
You're out with this game.
Ooh, Julie versus Brian.
And
game
the
of
matchup,
the
the game of the week, Julie versus Brian.
Oh, he's playing Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Oh, Patrick Mahomes bye. That's a rough one.
I think Julie's gonna have this, and I think she's gonna have this because if that Cleveland game on the lake is super windy, then I don't think Baker Mayfield's gonna pass as much. I think they're gonna run it, which Kareem Hunt will get those then. But I think one of them's going to eat and the other one's going to starve.
All right, so I'm looking at Brian. He's playing both James Conner and Chase Claypool.
Yeah.
Both are from Pittsburgh.
He's doing a lot of the two Cleveland, two Pittsburgh guys.
He's looking at feast or famine right here, and so I'm going to have to go Julie. I don't think they're both going to go off.
I don't think they're both going to go off either. I don't think Pittsburgh has the offense to have both go off. They're not a Kansas City. They're not a Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Cleveland's going to do it either. So I think one of those players is going big. I think one of them's going small, and Julie, she's got a chance to go big everywhere. Although, is Kenyon Drake playing? I don't know. She'll have to look at that. I think he's either coming back or he's coming back from an ankle injury. So that's
Maybe
something
you should
she'll have
do
to.
some more research.
That's for her to figure out.
Podcast.
So anyways, so those are the big ones there. Those are our pick six, our picks of the week, and last segment.
Yeah.
So normally we have a commissioner's corner here. This week will be a commissioner's conspiracy corner. So if you have been paying attention to the league, a few weeks ago, Gregory opened up, and ESPN opened up, and that's why Gregory was allowed to do it, the IR spots
for COVID.
And the bench spots for COVID. Okay? Well, the IR spots were open due to COVID, but the bench spots were just...
You know, we've always been a little bit inconsistent with benches. And when we first started, we had many bench. We went down to a reduced bench, and then Gregory kind of changed it up without feedback because he said he's the commissioner.
And we went to reduced benches because people...
We're
a waiver family. We've done very
Love
few
waivers.
trades, except, we've got 2 trades going on this season, so that's great.
Good work, teams.
But, I was talking to a few managers in the league, and the bench slots being opened up, everybody grabbed things up, and the waiver wires are bare right now. And there is a bit of a conspiracy going on. Could Gregory have opened up the bench spots
for
with the IR for his own gains? Because McCaffrey was sitting on IR from like week 2.
He had been holding him on his bench, and he's like, you know what I could really do? I could make my bench bigger to help my McCaffrey decision.
If you need McCaffrey to sit somewhere else and then fill up some bench spots for some possible switches.
But why stop with more benches? Why not add benches and IR?
Well, you need the IR to slide him away so that you can fill in that third slot up in the running back position.
And then you could, weaken the waiver ability for other players that might be trying to claw back into it, like William.
And if McCaffrey comes back for the fantasy football playoffs, you become the great player. But luckily, the fantasy gods shine down as always. And last week, McCaffrey, while he put up an insane game, he got a shoulder injury. And we're all praying that he stays injured for the rest of the season.
But we're praying that he is healed because we're not bad people.
Yeah, he'll be fine like week 15. Week 15. Or,
14.
Or whatever week that Gregory's out of the playoffs.
Oh.
So yeah, that was Commissioner's Conspiracy Corner for this week. And I think that does it. I think that's the show.
Yeah, that wraps it up for us.
Yeah. So best of luck to all the teams hunting for playoff spots out there. Best of luck to our Pick 6 teams for me.
And we're thinking about having a call-in segment for one of our podcasts. So call us up if you want to join in one of our future segments.
Yeah, if you want to join in a future segment, we'll have to figure out how to do that. But I've got some ideas, so just let us know. And hope you enjoyed the show.
And let me know if you really like all these detailed analysis. I'll keep them coming.
Yeah, and you'll do them a little earlier in the week. Adios, everybody. Have a good one.